So you can find configuration drifts under the fleet management dropdown inside of VCF. And when you click on it, you're going to be greeted with an overview of your environment's config drift status for not only your vCenters, but also your clusters, which is a new addition to VCF. And as you can see, I already have a template built, but let's walk through the process of creating one from scratch, right? So I'm going to click on configuration templates, and then I'm just going to walk through this guided process here. So in this scenario, let's just say that I want to be alerted when any modifications are made to my vCenter's SSH as well as any networking settings. So I'm going to give this template a name, and then I'm going to associate it with a vCenter. Now I'm going to pick the specific schema in this template that I want to monitor, right? And as you play around with the template creation yourselves, just be sure to explore the various different schema options. There's a lot for you to monitor, including inventory schema, which is also new to VCF. And as I set the schema that I want to monitor, for drifts on the left side of the screen, you can see on the right side of the screen that VCF is going to populate those values. No coding is needed whatsoever, right? And so at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and assign the template to any active policies for my vCenter, and then I'm just going to simply click create. And like that, I'm done. I've defined the desired state that I want VCF to monitor, and then I've even told it to alert me when that desired state changes. And with that, let's just go ahead and test our new template for our vCenter. So as you recall, this vCenter already had a config drift template created, and some drifts were initially found. Now, with that being said, right, so this vCenter now has two configuration drift templates associated with it. And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to go ahead and run a drift detection. And as you can see, some drifts were found, but they were only for that original template, not for the one that I just created. But I'm going to verify this by selecting the vCenter. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run the drift detection for that specific template that I just created. And as you can imagine, no drifts are going to be detected because I literally just created it, right? So with that, let's just go ahead and have some fun. I'm going to go ahead and edit my template. Again, this is new to this release by adding new schema parameters. So let's just go ahead and add NTP, for example. And now I'm just going to modify some of the existing schema by changing some of the values from true to false. And with that, let's just go ahead and run the detection again. And lo and behold, right, not only are the drifts detected, but VCF also shows me which specific schema in that template has drifted. And so with that, right, that's an overview of the template creation process as well as how on-demand drift detection can occur. But you can also automate when VCF will detect drifts by scheduling a job with VCF's orchestration capabilities, which are found under the infrastructure operations dropdown, as you can see here. So with that, let's just go ahead and walk through this process, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and create a job just by simply just giving it a name in the description. And now I'm just going to go ahead and select the scope of the scheduled drift detection. And so in this case, I'm just going to limit the scope to my vCenter instances here, right? And now I'm just going to go ahead and select the start date and time, as well as how often the drift detection will automatically occur, right? And so in this case, I'm just going to have VCF do a monthly check until I tell it to stop. And voila, the monthly automated job now appears in my calendar. And what's really, really great about this feature is that it actually can be combined with VCF's ability to generate reports that can be shared with your peers or other members of your team, right? And so it's a pretty simple process. And so all you got to do is just simply go to configuration drifts, select your vCenter, and then click download report. And what's really, really great about this report is that you're going to see a couple things, right? You're going to see the date of the drift detection, if any happened. You're going to see the resources that are being monitored. You're going to see the template that was used. You're going to see the drift status, as well as obviously who performed that drift detection. And with that, let's just move on to this whole notion around scalability, right? As you saw, configuration drifts and the templates used to monitor them are located under the fleet management dropdown in VCF. And these templates can actually be integrated with version control systems like Git, which ensures that all VCF instances that are leveraging the templates are consistent and safe, right? And so here in this particular case, we have a template that's been synced with Git. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to go ahead and edit it. I'm just going to just make a ever so slight change, and then I'm just going to save it. And with that, I'm just going to go ahead here and I'm just going to acknowledge the notification that I'm seeing right here, and I'm just going to click continue. Now I'm just going to move over to Git and I'm going to merge my changes. Then I'm going to go back into VCF, as you can see here, and I can see that my config drift template is out of sync with the source. And so in order to resync it, I'm just simply going to select sync with GitLab. And like that, I'm done.